Hey everybody, it's GalmodX. It is Friday, June 4th, 2021, and today there are plenty of great new things that just hit Arena. We of course have Arena Cube drafts returning, and I will be playing a ton of those this Sunday on my Twitch channel, as well as recording those for the channel. But today is a work day, so I literally just got off work, don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to hop into a shorter event here, the return of Jumpstart. So Jumpstart, of course, is the really fun casual format where you get to just pick two different themed packets and you will build a deck out of those two together. It's just two kind of pre-built, very small decks for you, and there's like 50 something different themes, so every time you get a little bit of a different experience with the two different pairings to see how they all work out and see what you're playing against. So Jumpstart, a really cool format. It also brought a lot of pretty powerful cards to the historic format. And yeah, just a great time in general. So that'll be today's video. And of course, this weekend, starting Sunday and probably daily for quite a while, I'll be hopping into those Arena Cube drafts. But for now, let's get back into Jumpstart. And here I'm going to be picking the well-read deck because it looks like I've never picked it before, as you can see by the fact that there's no check mark on it. So you can always check that way. So we'll try well-read. Well-read was one of the cooler themes in paper because Ristic Studies, one of the rares you could get there. It's all about drawing cards, and there's a new like legendary Sphinx that whenever you would draw a card from an empty library, instead you just make the Sphinx bigger. So another one of those cards that makes it so you don't lose if you mill yourself out. However, that one not as good as like Thassa's Oracle, where you win when you mill yourself out. So well-read should be fun, drawing a bunch of cards there. Now we have vampires, heavily armored, and +1. So I guess we're going to be doing some well-read vampires today so I can get more of the Jumpstart cards collected, just more of the themes that I haven't played yet. So let's see how this deck looks and how it works out. I'm going to take a quick peek at the deck here, see what rares I got. Let's see, looks like Gadwick the Wizened in well-read, and Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. And multiple of the decks also happen to have multiple rares, which is really cool. So I actually got two rares out of the blue pack. We got Mystic Archaeologist as well, but just the one rare in the Vampire pack. So yeah, it looks like it'll be a pretty fun deck, pretty solid stuff. Of course, this is a casual format. There's really no stressing here. You get to play as much as you possibly want. You don't have to get a certain amount of wins before you get a certain amount of losses. So you don't have to worry too hard or strategize a ton here. Alright. So here we are in game one, and this looks like a pretty spectacular hand. We don't have anything to combo with Vito, but just having the Vito in the first place seems like a pretty great way to start things off. And of course, later in the game, we can just use the 5-mana ability to combo with Vito's first effect, so I think I'm going to keep this, even though the first mulligan is free in the format. Start off with a blue mana so I can cast this Opt here during their end step, see what I can set up here. We are going to need to hit a lot more blue mana to cast this Gadwick, and we do need a second blue for Tolarian Kraken as well, so I'll probably be trying to scry into an island. This is just a recursion spell, brings back cards from the grave, so that's not likely to get used for quite a while. We'll get rid of that. Looking for more islands. We do hit the second one. And it looks like our opponent's island is a big floating island, so I think that would be the Above the Clouds island, which is the blue flying themed deck. They have the Kira Great Glass Spinner from that one, so whenever we target any of their stuff with a spell or ability, it gets countered the first time each turn, so we have to spend 2 abilities or spells to be able to target any of their stuff. So it should be really, really hard to get their cards off the board with targeted removal. And the forest from our opponent is the Predatory Forest, which is kind of a green deck with just a lot of beasts, some fight spells. Don't remember a lot of specifics on that one, but definitely a cool deck as well. We could drop an Onerophage, not exactly sure how to pronounce that one. I'd like to play that before we play Gadwick, so this might get big enough to be able to block the Kira. because there's going to be no way for us to get that off the board for quite a while. So we'll try to just set up a blocker that's big enough to deal with it for now. Alright, sending everybody in here. Could go for a double block on Brush Strider and only lose one of the cards, but I'd have to trade my Phage down. My Squid Illusion, could call it that. Really nice creature type. I enjoy that. Alright, now what? Well, we could Gadwick to draw 2 cards, which would make the Squid Illusion a 4/5. It's already big enough to block Kira, so we might as well just play Tome Anima here. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. I like holding off to Gadwick as long as possible, that way we're drawing a ton off of the X mana effect. For now, I think I'm safe to play the 3/3. We can trade that with Brush Strider, and then just block Kira with the Squid Illusion, hopefully. Unfortunately, they do have the Capture Sphere to keep that locked down. We might have to use Veto's ability just to get some lifelink going here, because we're going to start taking quite a bit of damage. We're going to be below 10 pretty soon. Although I will just take the trade with the Brush Strider. We get on to 11 here then. Gadwick's going to make sure that we always have stuff to do eventually, so I'm okay trading down a little bit and trading pretty aggressively. Although here I think I'd rather play Tolarian Kraken than Gadwick, because then the stuff on the ground is pretty locked down. The tap ability is not going to go great because of Kira's effect, but if we draw a removal spell, we'll be able to use the tap ability plus a removal spell to kill something. So there's that. Mainly it's just a really big blocker on the ground. It could also get in for a lot of lifelink if we spend the 5 mana with Veto. They may have another removal spell here. They have 2 mana up. Unsubstantiate, put it back into our hand, so we do go down to 9 here, but we do have Veto that's big enough to block the Dawnshredder Elk. So it doesn't look too bad here. Well, there's the Somberwald Stag that can just fight Veto. Kill him entirely. This is down to 7 now. Draw a card, hit Cloud Reader Sphinx. We've got 7 mana, only enough to cast one of these spells. We can cast any one that we want. Whatever we cast is probably going to block the 4/3, and then we take 4 damage, so I'd rather play the 4/6 here. Marauder's Axe, they can throw that on the flyer and hit me for 6 damage here. Or throw it on the stag and trade there. Oh, Kira's ability stops equipment too. Okay, so they have to equip twice if they want Kira's effect to work out there. So I could Capture Sphere or something if I tap it down first. So I have 7 mana, because I need to get Kira's ability to go off. Do I want to Capture Sphere Kira? Probably not. I think I just cast a Cloud Reader Sphinx here, because I can't cast Cloud Reader Sphinx and Capture Sphere. So let's get that flying blocker out here. Scry a couple. Agonizing Siphon is going to be very good here, as long as Tolarian Kraken is still on the board, or Kira's off the board. Because gaining a few life and getting rid of one of their creatures is going to be a very big swing in our favor. The only issue with it, of course, is it will get countered by Kira if it's the first thing that we do that targets whatever we plan on targeting. Alright, they're going to make the Somberwald Stag even bigger. If that's the case, I have to block here. Whatever I block it with is going to trade with it. I think I'd rather keep the Kraken out so I can permanently kill Kira with Agonizing Siphon. Because otherwise I can't target Kira with 2 things unless I 2-for-1 myself using both my removal spells. Alright, so we try to hit Cure with that, that'll get countered, but now Agonizing Siphon will actually resolve. We can gain some life there. Alright. And holding on to the Gadwick so that we can hopefully cast Gadwick and draw a ton of cards next turn. Rain of Revelation from our opponent to draw some more cards, get some more plays. Discarding a forest, playing an island, 3 cards left in hand. And a Truffle Snout. It is as a 3/3, I'm assuming. No, choose to gain the life there. I guess since a 3/3 isn't big enough to fight with the Kraken anyway. Alright, so I do like just running out the Gadwick here. We're going to have 2 blockers against their field. Just dumping 5 into this. Just draw it all. And then we hope to control this game with Gadwick's ability. Tapping down stuff. Could cast a Curiosity and tap something here. No real reason to hold on to that. If they stayed tapped during their turn, there'd be a reason. I'm definitely much more worried about tapping things down from attacking us than tapping down their blockers right now, because we're at such a lower life total than them. But eventually that'll be definitely something to consider. Alright, so they drop a Tide Skimmer, get a Marauder's Axe onto that, so we'll be Capture Sphering that, I think. And don't really want to spend all the mana tapping their stuff down here. We've got 10 mana now. So I think we could just attack with Kraken. We want 4 mana for Capture Sphere up, but that's about all I'm really worried about. So let's just get some nice life-gaining blockers on this board. The only way they can kill Tolarian Kraken is if they block with Tide Skimmer, so I'm kind of fine with that. Send in that attack here. Now we have plenty of blockers. This one life gains, this one life gains when it dies. And we're going to cast a Capture Sphere during their turn here. I don't want to go as far as putting Curiosity on Tolarian Kraken, because if I do that, then I think actually trading for 1 Tide Skimmer would be bad, but there it was not bad. Oh, I forgot to Capture Sphere anyway. Just going a little too fast here. Could block and just gain some life here, or I could go to 4. I think I'm fine going to 4. I've got lifelink on the board with Gifted Aetherborn. Library Larcenist, not bad. Okay, we've got a bookcase that can give things unblockable. If I want, it's also another blocker. Tap that down, why not? Could Curiosity onto the flyer and keep trying to get in that way, since we will likely be Capture Sphering their Tide Skimmer. But I think I'm just fine with this. Be really safe against Naturalize or something like that. They're in blue as well, so they do have the potential to have counter spells. I don't remember exactly what's in all of the decks. So they don't necessarily have counter spells, but they might be able to. There might be a counter spell in the Flyers deck. Ooh, destroy a creature with flying or an enchantment. Well, I do gain life when that dies, so I'm not dead on board here, even if Capture Sphere gets countered somehow. But just in case, I'll cast it right now before they draw. And so I don't forget like I did last time. If I waited to cast it until combat there, I could make sure to save my bookcase and my larcenist there. Because now they can throw an axe onto a truffle snout, attack with a 4-2 here. But pretty sure we can very much get there off of just like Kraken's ability here. Uh-oh. Arena's having some issues, that's for sure. Alright, now I have more than enough mana to just start tapping things down a lot. And of course, gaining life every turn off of the Gifted Aetherborn. We need 3 blockers. We've got 4. Another land here. Gives us more mana to play around with Tolarian Kraken's ability. The fact that it can untap things as well is really nice here, because since it has a Curiosity on it, if it ever hits our opponent, we know we just get to immediately untap it and have that blocker up for the future. So there is the concession from our opponent. Definitely not played ideally there. Lots of little misplays and stuff. And it looks like our first win reward is the Primordial Sage. Really nice. Don't have one of that yet. So let's head into another game here. Might be able to get these 2 wins out of the way immediately. Just 100% win rate if we do. But again, super casual format here. Pretty much just for fun, starting to collect the cards at a Jumpstart as well. Just for those 2 things. But yeah, there's like Blood Artist and Jumpstart, some really good stuff. I'm going to take the free mulligan here. The mana is just pretty awkward with that hand, and this is a lot better. We also have great cheap removal here, so I think this hand is very good. Yeah, we'll play our blue-black tapped land first. These Striving lands are such a smart design from Wizards for this, where they're dual lands for the main color and then whatever you want the second color to be. So in Jumpstart, because everything is just one color deck, no matter what 2 colors you end up in, you have the perfect dual lands for your deck, which is really nice. We've got 1 mana up here. I don't know what they could have to save that. I'm gonna assume they don't have anything, and it looks like they didn't there. Alright, just a tapped land here. Well, we're not really playing a creature until turn 5, so our opponent isn't really under any pressure. But I do think that just the well-read deck in general has a really good game plan for the long game with all of the card draw available. So I think it's fine that we're not getting any creatures on the board, just keeping things under control for the start of this game. Alright, Sanguine Indulgence is going to be some pretty good value for them. Bring back 2 creatures that we just killed to their hand, but now we do get a big old flyer we can throw a Curiosity onto, and I'm going to draw both of these as well, I think. Yeah, these both seem pretty good. So if our Cloud Rager Sphinx doesn't immediately get killed, probably just start sending in with a Curiosity Cloud Rager Sphinx here, which should be fantastic. Although if I do that, I don't have the mana to play the 4/5, so we might want to play the 4/5. Otherwise, I play this and then I just play a Mystic Archaeologist here. playing a 4/5, the Chorister can't attack unless they buff it up or tap it down with something. Yeah, I guess they could tap down the 4/5 with Brightmare. Either way, we're going to be in a world of hurt with this Blood Bond Vampire getting a bunch of counters here. Yeah, I think we just go for immediately drawing cards here. Get that curiosity out of the way. There's nothing in my grave, right? Yeah, no creatures in grave for the Sanguine Indulgence. So we'll play the 2/1 out. They can Brightmare to tap down the 2/1, so I can't block anything here. They also have the Faith Fetters to shut off Cloud Reader Sphinx entirely. An Eternal Thirst to give a lifelink to the creature that gets bigger every time they gain life. So I'm going to trade our Mystic Archaeologist for the Chorister there to get less life gain triggers on their board, so Bloodbound Vampire doesn't go completely off the rails so fast here. But it's already way too big, to be honest. Like, we can play a 4/5 here, or we can bring back our 2/1 just to chump block. I mean, I'm just going to bring back the 2/1, but I'm probably not chump blocking with it. I think we just take 1,000,000 this turn. They're going to gain 1,000,000 as well. Our opponent definitely got some very synergistic decks here. They got the mono white life gain deck. I think it's called Doctor. And then they got the Vampires deck. So just every card in their deck gaining life with a card like Bloodbound Vampire is going to be too much for us to beat here. For sure. Unless we draw into our Capture Sphere or something here. Let's draw 2 cards and see if we get anywhere. We do have Capture Sphere now. So we chump block the Vampire, take 4, then we can Capture Sphere and play like a 1/2. It's going to be really, really rough, but there's a very mild chance that we can very slowly get out of this. So we'll play to it. We'll see if we can get there, but I don't think this one's looking like a win at all. As much as I would love to trade with Child of Night, we have no choice but to make that block, because we'll take 11 damage if we choose to block the Child. We can Capture Sphere and have 4 mana up, which means we can Capture Sphere and play 1 other card. So we chump block the Blood Host and Capture Sphere the Bloodbound Vampire. Yeah, we're going to have to do that, because if we Capture Sphere Bloodbound and they sacrifice it, that'll be a 4/4. So if we don't block that, we take 4, 5, 6, I guess. Is that an instant speed effect? Yeah, it's an instant speed effect. So we're going to have to chump block Blood Host no matter what happens here. So let's just play our weakest creature, which I guess would be Library Larcenist, because there's no way we get to attack, because we're going to need to be blocking. But yeah, I'm going to cast Capture Sphere here. They're going to sacrifice the creature that I throw it onto, and then if I block one of these 2, they'll also sacrifice that. That would be 5 damage there, plus 2 from whatever's unblocked. That's really bad. Now I need to draw like a second Capture Sphere, and I'm not sure if this deck has one. That's tremendously bad. Well, I already have to chump block the Blood Host, so we still go for that. But now the Blood Host is going to be insanely huge very quickly here. Like, just as big as the Bloodbound Vampire, pretty much immediately. Again, if I block either of the 2 power creatures, I die to the Blood Host's effect. Now, because of the fact that they could gain 2 life by sacrificing a creature there, so they sack Bloodbound, gain 2, I take 5 there, plus 2 from whatever I didn't block. So in a different way, I die immediately, but I die immediately regardless there. So I can play 2 blockers now. So I can chump block with Veto and actually kill something with Calastria Nightwatch. But then I go to 1. So if they have any removal or any pump spells, I am dead. But yeah, we chump block Blood Host with Veto. Alright, we're just agonizing Siphon to the face. Wow, opponent had a very, very nice deck there. The Doctor's Vampire combo seems pretty unbeatable, at least in that game, for us, for sure. Really immense combos there, creating some massive creatures with all those +1/+1 counters. Alright, another game here. We do a Veto again. We've got our own Blood Bond Vampire, but we don't have nearly as much life gain in our decks. That's not super great. Gadwick's also really hard to cast here. His hand seems really slow and not the most synergistic in the world. Like, Veto does work well with Blood Bond Vampire, but not until we have 5 mana to start giving everything lifelink, and we have to be wanting to do that instead of casting more spells. I think I'm actually going to take the free mulligan here, and this actually looks quite a bit better to me. I think when our deck doesn't have a ton of synergy, our well-read half, just our blue cards in general, are a little spicier than our black cards, just because of the fact that they give us good value. A lot of card draw going on there. So seeing like the Curiosity, Library Larcenist kind of stuff means this hand has pretty good potential, especially with Suspicious Bookcase being able to give the Larcenist unblockability. And we're playing against Wizards, and I'm not sure what that mountain is, but I know that the blue one there is Wizards. And I'm going to drop our Suspicious Bookcase here, although Rune Servitor will be nice as well. Tolarian Archmage here. They can bounce our card, or they can bounce their Sage's Osavant to draw a card and get its enter the battlefield effect again. Looks like they just want to play the aggressive here. Kind of like playing the Silver Smoke Ghoul because it can come back eventually, so we can just trade off with one of their cards and not feel too bad about it. But I suppose Rune Servitor fills a similar role and draws a card when it dies, but I guess our opponent draws a card when it dies as well. Plus, if we get 4 mana, we can cast Servitor and Bookcase. Yeah, I'll just play the Silver Smoke Ghoul here. Makes the most of our mana and puts a creature on the board that we don't mind trading. Storm Sculptor picking up the Sage's Savant. Means they'll draw a card with Baron. So we do have the 4 mana here. We could drop Bookcase and Servitor. Of course, Storm Sculptor is just straight up unblockable, so it's not going to help against that. Kind of like playing the Squid Illusion here. And then starting to do all our card draw combos. I think our opponent's deck is going to be pretty well positioned against our +1/+1 counters. So I don't know if the Squid Illusion is going to be as good as it could be, but I think it's still going to be pretty decent here. If it doesn't just get immediately blown up. But definitely, after the amount of bounce that we've seen from our opponent with Baron, and I guess Storm Sculptor only bounces their own stuff, but with Baron and with just the blue wizard stuff in general, I'd expect maybe another bounce spell in the deck. And if they bounce spell our Squid Illusion after we've thrown like a Curiosity on it, and it has a couple +1/+1 counters, that'll be pretty painful. Take 5 here. And they definitely have an instant speed card here. Probably going to be 3 damage. That wizard spell for 3 damage, so we could throw Curiosity onto it, and then if they try to burn it for 3 damage, we can sacrifice Silver Smoke Ghoul to counter that. which actually seems pretty sweet. So we can draw a card in response here. Will we need to? Oh, they can just tap them both down. Okay. Not a burn spell then. Well, let's get this bookcase back out here. Let's get a nice little rune servitor out here as well to make sure they're not attacking us outside of the storm sculptor this turn. But unfortunately, the tempo plays are looking pretty bad for us, keeping our stuff tapped down and slowed down. And I'm so excited for this month on Arena. Just thinking about that right now, the fact that Arena Cube's there just waiting for me for when I've got the time for that. I am very pumped for that. And Arena Cube and Jumpstart, they're not the only things on Arena this month. We've got Theros Beyond Death quick drafts coming back next week or a couple weeks from now. And near the end of the month, we have Dominaria Premier drafts coming back. Such a sweet month for limited players on Arena, and I am very pumped to get back into the swing of things here, starting with this Jumpstart gameplay. And I'll probably be trickling in Jumpstarts now and then, as they will be around throughout the month, just any time that I don't quite have time for a full draft, because those can be 1 to 2 hours, so anytime I gotta record on a work day, that'll probably be the video coming out. Okay. Well, it's looking bad. It's looking bad for sure. We can play Larcenist and use Bookcase's ability, but that's the only thing we can do if we're doing 2 things in one turn. Otherwise, we just play one of these cards. I think we probably just want to play the biggest blocker here. Like, we're in quite a bit of pain here. We're at 8 life. We can block the, I guess, one of the 2/1s with our 0/4, and then we can block the 3/4 with our 4/5, take 5. It's going to be painful here. We go to 3 if they don't have any burn. If they do have burn or a bounce spell or anything like that, it is entirely possible that this is our last turn alive. Yep, read the tides, just throw all our creatures back into our hand there. Definitely some really nice tempo plays from the blue-red deck there. Wizards, and I guess the red deck they were using was spell casting with the kinetic augur there. But that game was almost entirely just the Wizards side, at least in terms of the creatures, and the biggest plays for sure, the creatures, and then tapping down both our cards and bouncing both our cards. So definitely a pretty impressive tempo game for our opponent. This is definitely a mulligan. This hand is garbage. We have like a card to return creatures from our grave, but we don't have any creatures to play until we have 6 mana. The only thing that we know that we can cast no matter what happens is an Opt, which is just a cantrip. Capture Sphere is also just reliant on our opponent playing creatures that we want to Capture Sphere. This hand's not much better because the mana curve is so high, but I don't really want to mulligan to 6 here, so I'll keep it and see what happens. We do draw the Blood Artist here, so we do have a 2 mana card to play. Our opponent starts with the Enchantments white deck here, starting with the 2 mana 2/2. When it attacks, if they control an enchantment, it gets +1/+1 lifelink until end of turn. Also works if they control an artifact, but more likely to be playing enchantments here, seeing the enchantment planes there. And there is the dub. Now it is a 4/4 first strike. When it attacks, it gets +1/+1 and lifelink till end of turn. So we're to 15, they're to 25. They're going to keep gaining life off of that. Not much we can do there. Can't play anything till next turn. This one might be a real quick loss. We needed our 2 mana removal to kill that. Now it's just too big to kill with Agonizing Siphon. Anointed Chorister. Yeah, I'm just going to scoop him up here. Game is incredibly over. We can chump block, play a Tome Anima to chump block there, Or we can chump block with Blood Artist. But either way, they go to 35, then they go to 40, so on, so on. Even if we draw a Capture Sphere there, we get to shut off their one card, and we're miles behind. And having to sacrifice cards just to stay alive for a bit there was definitely going to put us in the losing spot, not only in terms of life total, but in terms of card advantage, just having to dump cards away into their one attacker. So game was incredibly over. And here we are with Rune Servitor turn 2, Library Larcenist or Nocturnal Feeder turn 3. Pretty nice hand here. The mana's great, having 2 of each color, and not a bad curve at all. Actually have some early game plays this time around. So we'll play the Rune Servitor. And our opponent has the Mill blue deck. That's actually really good against our blue deck here. I'm actually going to play for as aggressive of a start as I can, because the usual plan with the well-read deck is if the game goes long, great, you're going to be drawing a bunch of cards and hopefully drawing more than your opponent. Now if the game goes long, they're going to be milling us and we're drawing cards, so we're kind of helping them with their game plan there and getting into a really bad position because of it. So I want to try to just put as aggressive of a start as I can out. So hopefully we can beat them up before they mill us too hard to where we have to stop drawing cards. These all mill? Ooh, mill and archaeology. I really like the deck choices from our opponent. 2 blue decks, of course. I'm going to keep things nice and aggressive here and just tap down their one blocker, send the whole field in. That means we'll draw 2 cards here. Yeah, as well as do 5 damage. Sweep away, though. Throw the Nocturnal Feeder back on top. But we do get to redraw it immediately from Library Larcenist, but that does kill Curiosity permanently, which is not great for us. Yeah, the Archaeology deck, all about artifacts. And the Mill deck, obviously all about Mill. Reckless Scholar, I'm not sure which deck that is from. Let's attack in with everybody. Might make a trade with Library Larcenist here, I wouldn't be surprised, but gets more of their blockers off the board. Makes it more likely that our 4 or 5 can actually get in here. Yeah, I'm just going to play the 4/5. Sanguine Indulgence really nice in this matchup as well, because we're going to have plenty of creatures in our graveyard to bring back with this card. We already have 2. We have Larcenist and Archaeologist. So that's nice. Thirst for Knowledge from our opponent, another pretty sweet card that Jumpstart brought to Historic, although it doesn't really see much play. Just a cool card. Bruvac the Grandiloquent. So now, whenever we mill, we get milled twice that many cards instead. So that's pretty terrifying. I mean, we hit for 4 here. Just get as aggressive as we can. Play Gadwick and draw some cards. I don't really want to draw any cards. I think we play Blood Artist and the Flyer again. So the Flyer's going to get in there no matter what. Attack with these. They block the Servitor, and we hit for 4. Little scared of Bruvac here, for sure. We'll see what happens here. Scholar of the Lost Trove from the Archaeology deck, allowing them to recast an instant or sorcery from their grave. They choose to sweep away, throw the Night Watch back into our hand. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's a 5/5 flyer, so Nocturnal Feeder's not getting in there either now. Well, now I'm actually going to Gadwick draw 4. I don't love that I'm helping them mill me, but at this point we still have like 20 cards left in the deck, so I just want to draw more blue cards, because if we had any blue cards with Gadwick on the board, we can tap down their blockers, and hopefully that'll chip in for the last bit of damage. Agonizing Siphon helps a lot as well. Can do 3 damage just straight to their face. Alright, a couple artifacts out there. Both of them draw cards when they sacrifice them. Chromatic Sphere draws 1. Hedron Archive draws 2. So definitely can dig for some stuff there. Kind of like Agonizing Siphon, going for the Sanguine Indulgence here. Because if I pick up the Sanguine Indulgence after I've gained life, or if I cast it after I've gained life, it only costs 1, which means I'll have 3 mana left, which means I get to cast a Mystic Archaeologist or Library Larcenist here and tap down one of their blockers. Hopefully get in for the last point of damage. I think if they don't have anything here, this is probably lethal. Because they're only going to have 1 blocker up. Thanks to Gadwick's effect. And they're going to be at 4 with 1 blocker up. Yeah, I mean, block there, take 4. So that will be exact lethal, and that will be the victory there, leading to the end of this Jumpstart run with well-read vampires, and we get a mythic rare as the reward this time around. A Drana, Liberator of Malakir, very nice, a vampire ally, which does make sense with the deck that we had in this event. So that is going to end today's video. As always, thank you all very much for watching. If you want to see more of this content, do all of those good things that let the YouTube algorithm know that you're interested in it. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll be back again very soon with more Magic Arena. Of course, we have on Sunday the Arena Cube Draft. Will definitely start up, and we'll be doing those daily for quite a while. And the Twitch channel in the description below is where I will be doing my live recording sessions of that. Every Sunday we do a Twitch stream. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a scatterbrain here as I've kind of changed how I record now that I do the live stream, so I always forget to sprinkle that in there in the end of the video and let you all know where that happens. But anyways, as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again soon for more Magic Arena.